What's up, dudes? What does conscientious objection mean? So, free soul school lesson. Spirit might want us to learn about what it's like if you say no to the government of the United States of America during the time of war. So we look to the past. That's why we should always study history. There's a whole thing that happened called Operation White Coat. I've channeled this before. And it's a very interesting thing. A lot of people don't know about it. So back in the day, if you got drafted to go to war, there would be this thing that would happen. People would say, no, I conscientiously object. I say, no, I refuse to go. Hell no, I won't go. Even though you drafted my number. Yeah, but no. So there's two kinds of objectors. The first one is, no, I don't believe in that war. I'm not fighting that war. No matter what. I don't care that my neighbor also got drafted and they have to go. Yeah, I don't care. No, I'm not going to do it. I might make a run for Canada. That's one kind of conscientious objector. The other one says, my religion doesn't allow me to pick up arms and hurt other people. I object to this war. It's against my religion. And so there's two different intentions behind it. So that's how we're going to start talking about this discussion. So back, there was this thing called Operation White Coat. Fort Detrick might mean something. And that's what happened with the religion called Seventh-day Adventism, Seventh-day Adventist. They don't believe in picking up arms and fighting wars and shooting people. And so when Seventh-day Adventist boys started getting drafted, the church said, no way. But these boys didn't want to get in trouble with the government because they didn't want to get in trouble with God. And so the government said, okay, religious leaders, we'll work with you. Here's what happens when you say no to the draft. You get a new mission. All of your little lambs will be sent to us, and they're going to be tested biological warfare on biological chemicals. They're going to be blasted in the face with tularemia, rabbit fever, anthrax, all sorts of different diseases. And we're going to see what happens to them. We're going to study them. That sounds creepy as fuck, doesn't it? It really happened. The church said yes. Okay. And the government says, sweet. This is a good base of people. Because of this religion, these people don't drink caffeine. A lot of them are vegan or vegetarian. Perfect test subjects. And so they got sent to, I keep hearing Fort Detrick. And they were part of called Operation White Coat. And so what happened was, and this was my daughter's grandfather had to do this on her dad's side as a Seventh-day Adventist. So what would happen was you'd walk into this big room, they called it the 8-ball, had this huge sphere in it, and that's where they released the biological warfare. And you would have to strap your face into a mask in the sphere, knowing that in a few minutes, you're going to be blasted in the face with something. You don't know what it is. I believe he said he got tularemia, which is called rabbit fever. He got some other things. I said, and there's a propaganda video. I'll link a documentary about this and a propaganda video about it in the comment section. In the propaganda video, they're all like playing piano, recovering from their experience. He said no, he felt like he was going to die for like 2 weeks. And then after they got that part of the testing done, then they had to, his job was to take the temperature of rhesus monkeys who are having it done to them and monitoring the rhesus monkeys. So this is a whole kind of scary, weird thing that not a lot of people, it's not top secret, not a lot of people know about. And now these boys have grown up and they're senior citizens and men. And some of them in this religion say, I feel like I did my country a good service. I did what my religion allowed me to do, and I'm proud of myself for what I did for the war. And then the other half of the people say, my religion mind-fucked me to get blasted in the face with anthrax. I feel like a guinea pig. I feel violated. I feel taken advantage of. I know personally that man had a fungus growing in his lungs later in life that his wife swore came from that. But if you participated in this, if you refused to accept the draft, this is your option. And you have 30 days after that blast to bring forth any side effects. Otherwise, military is not in charge and not responsible. So all of these people now are coming up with later in life health issues. Military is not responsible at all for any sort of health, service, anything like that. That's how hardcore it is if you say no. So there might be messages in whatever this is. I'll put the documentary about Operation Whitecoat. And I'll put, and it's interesting the different people's takes on what that experience was like for them. Some feel like they're proud of their service to the military. Others feel like they totally got violated. Decisions were made for them. They have adverse health effects. So it's like that what if. Would you pick up a gun, go off to war not knowing if you're ever going to get in a battle? Or guaranteed blasted in the face with biological warfare? Tough choice. Yeah, war is weird. Yeah. All right, well, let's hear about the Grace Oracle. Let's see what the Grace Oracle has to say. So this is something that truly happened. We don't know a lot about it as citizens, but if you're interested, if you study war things, it's very interesting. And I'll put those links in the comment section here. Receive. When we open ourselves up to others, we open ourselves up to the abundance of the universe. All right, I look down to act. A high cross might mean something. So yeah, how did the high cross come about? Those Celtic crosses with the circle. A Celtic cross, a high cross, represents a time in between pagan and Christianity. And so we know that people flip from pagan beliefs into Christian beliefs. But it wasn't just like overnight. It wasn't like yesterday I was a pagan, today I'm a Christian. No, there was this large swath of time where people believed in both things. They lived by pagan superstitions, studied some Christian teachings. That's when the high crosses were. So the circle on the cross represents pagan things, and the cross represents Christian things. Act. Charge forward. When we combine action with unwavering faith, the power of grace will meet our needs. All right, there's the message. Yeah, so if you're interested, I'll put a link to the documentary, and then I'll try to find that that propaganda video. It's pretty amusing, but you get to see the big, he said they called it the 8-ball, and it's just like the psychological torture that you go through walking in this crazy room with this big thing, knowing you're about to get blasted in the face. Creepy.